Ah! Yo, welcome to Build Something TV. What's going on, Wingnuts? What's happening? We're going to be talking about planning again and being real with yourself. Really just think before you think about performance. Update, I got rid of the Datsun. Well, it was supposed to go for 500. It's worth more than that. Guy came with 4, boom, took the car. Got the money in. Thought I was gonna go get some nice parts to add to the car. Lo and behold, it started getting cold. Yep, we had to fix that valve, and I let the plumber come in to fix it. And the part was the parts, plus making that little coupling right there in between that little union and the other union to the radiator right here. That was around 40 bucks, but the labor came out to be 230. So for those kids that want to be mechanics, you may want to be a plumber. So that's where the money went, and that happens to a lot of us. So right here we have a 5.4 and we have a 302 here. These engines have its pros and cons. Now performance is grasped by torque is the journey, horsepower is the destination. So to get to your destination quicker, you need performance. Right off the rip, the 5.4 will get you to your destination quicker due to torque. And the 302 will get you there also, but you need a little bit more performance. Now this engine over here is a lot more heavier than this one, because sometimes that's like a trade-off in power, because weight reduction is kind of the key in rotating parts and all of that stuff that you guys already know. So before you start, you want to rebuild modular motor, it's going to take a lot of money and time, because this engine is made precise, lots of close tolerances, and it's not really geared for the backyard boogie mechanic. Now the 302 does have a little bit more play for us to play with. Yeah, us, the backyard mechanics. So this will be more ideal for us to do, even though backyard mechanics have been playing with this 4.6 or the 5.4 modular motors. It's just the fact that so many variations and covers and stuff, just like with this 302 with the cover situation and all of that, but we already know all about that. This is a little bit more unfamiliar territory. You know, you got the single cam that goes straight through like the LS motor that's of today, which Ford should have kept this style of motor and just improved on this. But they didn't. They went and spent $1 billion and made this, which is a good motor in stock form only. A lot of downsides with this engine. Right out the gate, you will be dealing with a stud issue if you have a truck. If you have a truck, you know you dealt with that stud issue with these motors. The aluminum with the steel and the corrosion with the salt on the East Coast only, and those places that are cold, you will have a serious situation on your hands. Also too, you got this situation where the knock sensor is right in the middle. Yeah, that's cool and everything, but look at this. Look at this. See this little room they had? All this little room here. And they got a pipe right here, right? That's a flaw. You could have just made it right through here. Boom, right through the block, right? Am I kidding you? Or what? Look at that. All that room. No, they made a damn pipe and moved it in here. But the new motors, which is the ones that everybody like, the Terminator and all of that nonsense, and the crate motors that they got now with the new screw joint that we like, with the supercharger and all that nonsense, webbing here, and it has a cooling patches that go straight through the block in the front. How long did it took them to figure that one out? But nevertheless, it still works. But the other part that I do like about this too is the spark plugs on top versus the ones that's on the side. Never really liked the side spark plugs. It's always hitting and it's always in the way of something. You can't really put big engines into a small engine bay. Kind of like that Maverick that's sitting out there. Tough time with a 351 putting it in a Maverick due to the spark plug situation. You could put it in the header situation. So, you know, putting this engine in that makes it a little bit tough. But you know, as you've seen, I cut and notch to be able to either fit a 351, you know it will fit a 302 easy. Now we're starting to get to the performance part here. Now, for you kids who don't understand simple math, let's roll through this. 1 cam, 2 cam. The deluxe model, 4 cam. All right? 32 valve, blah, blah, blah valve, all that. When you have more valves, you have more valve springs. Thus, if you're putting performance parts in, performance cams, you need better valve springs. So you'd be paying double and triple the amount of money of a single situation of a normal. The machine work alone on this motor will run you $1,500 with no performance, nothing, no port and polish and all of that stuff. So $2,000 and everything, and you didn't even buy the cams yet. So module motors, the timing chain tensioner guides are plastic. You need to get the MMR ones, and that will, stop the chain from slinging and all of that stuff. And also you must get the tensioners too along with it. So now you got that, you're already at around $5,000. Now, what would have been the best bet for you? Well, get an engine from a builder who builds raced engines. That's what I would do. Now, some of you guys may sit there and say, let me go get a swap. Let me go get a Coyote engine. Okay, you go get a Coyote engine. You still have to wire it in your car. Still have to wire it up. And you want to get a Terminator motor? Fine, go get one of those. You still have to wire it up. Best solution to me would be, go to a place like, let's say, MMR, which they have a street long block for around $7,000 that can handle up to 900 wheel horsepower. That's what they would do. That would be my best bet for you to go ahead and check them out. You know what I mean? So you get an MMR Street Mod 900 SE 4.7 liter stroker 2-valve long block, good for 900 wheel horsepower. Fits all the Mustang GTs. This is a fully forged MMR long block that can handle up to 900 horsepower. They include the MMR Street Mod 900 SE short block with forged USA made crankshafts, not Chinese Eagle brand. Forged MMR Manley pistons, 4340 forged MMR H-beam rods with ARP bolts. Forged crankshaft, fully balanced and blueprinted in a brand new Ford Racing cast iron block and fully assembled with trick flow cylinder heads, stainless steel high flow valves and upgrade valve springs, new lifters, roller followers with factory PI cams, professionally timed to degree with the new Ford Racing timing chain guides, tensioners, and Ford Racing high volume oil pump. That's what I would do. Now, and after you check them out and you buy that engine, now you could get a whole bunch of different stuff. You can get different cams, this, that, and the third. Of course, it will cost a little bit more money, but you will have an engine that would drop in. You would get a complete long block, either in a 5.4, which I would probably do the 5.4, and or you can get the 4.6, which is basically a 4.7 or 4.8-ish type engine, and you can get that and roll with that. Drop in, boom, bam. Spend around $8,000 on a real solid engine that is ready to go. It comes with a lot of stuff. You see, the way that we were talking about, we didn't even do a port and polish from the other shop. We didn't even install new valves. We didn't do all of that. They will come with a new trick flow heads. You know what I mean? Comes with stock PI cams though. But you can mix and match, give them a call. And this is for, you don't have to go to MMR. You can find any old performance shop that's reputable and they can get you build you a nice engine. You don't have to go swap all the time. Swap, swap, swap. That's what everybody wants to do. Swap, swap, swap. LS got everybody going crazy wanting to swap right about now. But sometimes it's just not the deal. You got a whole bunch of money. You want to get a whole bunch of performance. Sit back and really think this over. Give a guy like MMR a call and say, hey, look, I got this amount of money. What would be the best solution for me to go? And they'll rock with you. Especially if you got a daggone supercharger already or a turbocharger, it'd be ideal for you on it. So, you leave this shit to the professionals, man. Sometimes you want to do it and you want to be adventurous and you want to spend and have bragging points, but it's not worth it sometimes. Like me, yeah, I can rebuild engines. I'm going to go rebuild this, but I will never rebuild the 4.6 or none of these module motors. I ain't got no time for that headache. I'd rather deal with this. A lot more forgiving for us, backyard mechanics and stuff like that. A lot more easier. This is just a headache. I'm not going to waste the time. I already know. I did the math. I did all of this already. It's not worth the time. But if I had $10,000, I would buy me a long block, have it already dialed in, timed, and balanced. You can't beat that with pistons and rods, everything new, block brand new, not a used block. Come on now, think about this. It would make better sense to roll that way. You will have a solid foundation to start with and to do your engines. It's more ideal. That's the way to go. So, thank you for watching this episode here, man. Hopefully I enlightened you in any kind of way. Sometimes if you got the money, just don't go out there and blow it, spending it, and thinking that you can go ahead and get something done cheap from a little shop around the corner that does heads and all this stuff. It can be done. If you got the connections, you can be done. You can probably splice that that price that I made in half if you got the right connections. But majority of us may not have the connections. So if that's an issue, then what you would do is you just buy the engine straight out. Boom. Put it all together. Boom, boom, bam. And you got a nice joint and you'd be ready to roll. All right. See you guys on the flip side. Hopefully I can get this going, but got to make some more money. All right. See ya. Heat should have been the number one thing before performance, because you got to figure out how you can cool down an engine and everything. That is the main focus, and that should be your main focus. Figuring out how to cool your engine. Is it by oil cooler, bigger radiator, better water pump, maybe another block, because some blocks have bigger cooling passages. Or you polished and port and polish. You can port and polish these things now to make the water circulate faster, just like you do with air. Don't let nobody bullshit you. You can. And that's what you can do. Even thin oil pan or anything. Direct the heat to get in, to get out. Hood scoops, all types of nonsense you can use. But you gotta do that. And that's why sometimes doing performance adders and stuff like that, and people opt out for the turbo situation because it creates more heat. Thus, they go for the supercharger, which just lays on top. You gotta cool the supercharger too. You got to. So some of them run coolant through it. So you need a bigger radiator to support all of that stuff. So cooling is a big issue in performance adders. You need that. Even with this engine over here, it got the turbo, right? Check this out. You got the turbo here, right? Boom. That's creating heat. You got this little manifold over here. Boom. That's creating heat. Now, this ain't gonna work. It'll work because it works for Hondas and all of this stuff here, but he needs a bigger radiator. I'm not gonna tell him. You can tell him. But it's gonna create a lot of heat underneath here. A lot of heat. Everything has to be. And it's tight in here. Gotta find a way to get here. The only thing cool he has down there is that little bit of that little pan down there, which will create some cooling action when he's driving. That will definitely help. Also would help is a big radiator. It will drop the temperature down low. Before, when I had this engine, I put a radiator in there, $100 radiator. The temperature dropped like around 4 or 5. Let me see, not 4 or 5, 10 degrees. So it works, and that's what you guys better think about when you're building and adding your performance parts, because you got to still think about who you are. What is the purpose of the car? Where's the money coming from? And are you going to really finish it off with cooling systems? My horsepower goals are not that crazy. 400 to move 4,000 pounds. That's what you got to do. If you got a 3,000 pound car, 300 horsepower, 350 can move that car. But if you have a 2,000 pound car and you got 500 horsepower, you got something too. So that's what it is. I need the torque to match the horsepower to move the mass. I need at least 400 horsepower, and I have to get it to move the car. Or, the Crown Vic is 4,000 pounds. I think the Maverick somewhere around 3,000. All I need is 300 horsepower to move the Maverick. 400 horsepower will move the Maverick sickly. That's how you got to configure your horsepower and be realistic.